Today we'll talk about what the difference is between column formulas and cell formulas, and we'll also address when to use each. So when you're working with a sheet that has values, it's important to know when you should create a column formula. In my situation here, I'm going to write a simple formula called COUNTM that actually counts the values in a cell. It's powerful because it can actually count multiple values where a lot of them will not. Now, down here, I have this option, convert to column formula. This makes it so I take this formula and it updates automatically. If I were to click edit column formula, I can grab that string of text. And it's very important that I grab the text and not just copy the cell, because I can paste it in here and it's going to be the exact same formula. If that were to be a cell formula like this, and I were to try to take it over to my notes column, you'll notice it's actually looking at a different column. It's looking at this one instead because Smartsheet tries to automatically update the formula relative to the position you've put it in on the sheet. So whether it's down or across, the formula will try to look at the same column. Now you cannot take a value from this and update once it's a column formula. You'll notice that now I did the same exact process and I still just have text. So that's important to know as well. A column formula is really powerful because it's going to be lighter on the sheet if it's across the entire sheet. It's also going to automatically add itself in every time I make a new value. Whereas the cell formula, if I drag it down, I'm certainly able to bring that cell formula down as far as I want, but it's not as efficient as a column formula because a column formula is set up to work like a database across the entire sheet. But when you create a cell formula, every time you duplicate that, it's a little bit more bandwidth on the sheet, and it definitely creates a more processing power needed to sustain that sheet's working. One thing also is that if you forget to drag it down as you create more and more values, it won't follow it. So if you're creating something that's going to have multiple rows, it's important to have a column formula. It will be able to stay with it the whole time. But on the contrary, a column formula makes it so that entire column is only for the column formula, only for that specific formula you've created. And you can make it so that it has a couple different scenarios that it's working with. You can make it so the column formula would adjust automatically depending on the hierarchy, for example. But you'll find that that formula will get bigger and more complex quickly because you're trying to handle a sheet that could have diverse sets of rows in it. That's where the cell formula is powerful. The cell formula can be specific to the row or specific to the area. So we find it's very helpful to create this for metric sheets that are looking at other sheets and referencing them in one place. But we find that if a user is going to be on the sheet, it's typically better to have the column formula. So the column formula is better when you're needing a sheet to be able to add multiple rows, and the rows are usually consistent. So for example, if you're adding a form submission, it's helpful to have a column formula because it's always going to pick up whatever row is created via the column formula. Whereas you have a cell formula, if you have it on the bottom row, it will hopefully be picked up by the next submission, but it could be missed. Cell formulas are more powerful when you're wanting a specific curated sheet. Let's say that you only want a couple columns, but you're creating different types of formulas for different calculations. Typically in a metric sheet, that can be more helpful with a cell formula. I find that I still use both in different situations. I still use the column formula a lot when I'm wanting to make sure that users can't adjust much on the sheet because it makes it work much more like a database. But I find that on hidden sheets that I'm using to do more complex calculations and so forth, the cell formula is still very powerful. It's also nice to be able to change formulas throughout the column. That is a unique feature that Smartsheet has that a lot of other tools don't allow. Many of the tools that are similar, that have a database structure, they force you to have the entire column only one specific formula. Smartsheet allows that flexibility, which is quite helpful and very costly for them. To have all these complex sheets, it's a lot of extra CPU, a lot of extra bandwidth Smartsheet's giving. If you have any further questions on formulas, please comment below and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.